Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I got a quick and simple project for you this week. It's going to be these little shelf units. Now this particular shelf unit has a paper towel holder on it, and I'll use it to hold my rolls of wax paper. Now this shelf unit I made is 7¼ inches wide, so it can hold my radio or something wider if I need it. But these shelf units can be made of any width that you want and any length that you want, and they're great for your shop if you have pegboard walls. It's a great way to get things organized. So stick around, we'll get right into it. As you can see, the shelf systems are pretty versatile. They are great for storing things, but also you can add attachments down here on the base to hold certain tools if you'd like. On this particular one, I've got some little attachments that hold all of my marking tools. And down below here, I've got some of these bent hooks, which we'll talk about more in the video, and it holds my assortment of wrenches. As I said, the shelves can be as deep as you want, as long as you want, and they're great for these pegboard walls and help to organize your shop. For the paper towel holder shelf, I'm going to cut two boards, one at 18 inches and the other at 17 inches, and I'm going to cut them out of this 1x8 board. Next, out of a piece of scrap wood, I need to cut two 3 by 3½ inch pieces. Now I'm going to take a piece of the 7/8 inch dowel and cut it down to 16 inches long. Out of the 17 inch board, I'm going to rip it down to 3½ inches wide. That'll give me two out of this one board, and the second one I can use for another shelf. Now on this 3½ inch board, I'm going to measure in 1 inch and mark a 45-degree line on both ends and remove them. Over here at the drill press, I've got a stop block set up, and I'm going to take these two 3 by 3½ inch pieces and I'm going to double side tape them together so the holes that I drilled are perfectly in line. So now I'm going to take my 18 inch board and my 17 by 3½ inch board and glue and screw them together. I'm going to center the small board by making sure that I have a ½ inch on both sides. Once I have the positioning down, I can go ahead and throw a couple of clamps on that'll help me keep everything in line while I pre-drill and screw the holes. And now I can plug those holes if I'd like. Since I already have a paper towel holder in the shop, I'm going to use this one for my wax paper rolls. And what I want to do is make sure that my two blocks have enough space between them for the wax rolls to load and unload. Once I have the positioning, I can add some glue, and from the back I can add a screw to hold it in place. And I'll just clamp them down to glue the front because I don't want to put any more screws in the top of the shelf. In order to ensure that the shelf hangs on the pegboard properly, I need to go ahead and measure 1 inch in from each end and 3/8 of an inch down and pre-drill and insert my little square bend hooks. and I'm going to insert them as far as I can to where I have just enough sticking out that it'll fit into the hole and hold the shelf firmly against the pegboard. Now the pegboard holes are every 1 inch on center. They're spaced out, so by doing this I'll have a 17-inch space in between, and they should be exactly lining up perfectly with my holes on my pegboard. To insert the hooks fully, I just use a crescent wrench. Alright guys, the last thing I'm going to do for the shelf is I'm going to take my small palm router and use a small round over bit just to round over the top of this to get rid of the sharp edges, but it's not necessary. You can just sand them, but that's what I'm going to do with mine. For the paper towel roll holder, I went ahead and just made 2 small blocks with 7/8 inch holes in them. On one end of the dowel I glued one on, so that way when I load and unload the rolls I can just slide this one on and it'll hold it in place for when I change it. This particular shelf is going to hold the radio so I have some music in the shop. Now this little system here is great for making all kinds of shelves for your shop that if you have pegboard around. It doesn't necessarily have to be as wide as this one. It can be 4 or 5 inches, however wide you would like. This one I made 7 1/4 inches because I wanted it to be able to hold my radio. I do have a piece of 1/4 inch bandsaw blade that went from an old broken bandsaw blade that I'm going to attach to the front so I can use it to rip off these wax sheets of paper, but I can't find it. It happens to be packed in one of my boxes somewhere, but I will find it and I'll get it attached. I'll do a follow-up on that later. As I said, these shelving systems are a great way to organize your shop, and until next week guys, see you soon.